Welcome again to another episode of Moonshots. And as always, I trust your week has been productive and you've given some thought to the things that I shared on the last episode. My mum taught me early that if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing right. And in my wealth dynamics profile as a creator, I'm sure that that has something to do with the fact that I have strong mechanic tendencies to detail and to finishing things. In this session, I wanted to talk to you about the things that are worth doing right and the time that you need to allocate to make sure that they get done. I'll share with you a couple of quotes that you may have already heard with respect to time. Steve Jobs said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." Bruce Lee said, "If you love life, don't waste time, because time is what life is made up of." Leo Tolstoy wrote, "The two most powerful warriors are patience and time." Ancient tribes have identified the movement of stars and stars crossing the meridian, the sky expanse and its boundaries, to measure time, and a practice that has continued over centuries, being refined and tuned more intricately to measure what we see as time by stargazers and astrologers and astronomers. Yet despite these developed traditions to measure time, mankind still hasn't really collectively learned to fully utilize its value, its inherent value to them. So in my recent Moonshot on adversity, I mentioned a quote from Buckminster Fuller, who's well known as the architect of the geodesic dome. And he also related a quote on time that I shared, which is that controlled time is mankind's true wealth. Now it's known that as time passes, our collective truth changes as we learn, as we adapt, as we become agile to, as we engage with increasing levels of awareness. Therefore, in order to realize the full meaning of Buckminster Fuller's insight, when we have controlled our thoughts, our words, our actions to produce the maximum impact in every minute of our lives, then we will have controlled our time, and then possibly approach, perhaps, that enlightened state of nirvanic peace and serenity and richness, where we are truly wealthy, because there is no better outcome that we can construct from the time that we have and have applied. And to engender such a result is truly a journey for both young and old, yet the constant and unchanging thread with which each human gets to create their own masterpiece is all from the same ball of time. Now, how you use that thread is the decider of your joy and your wealth, not how much of it you get. Now, most successful people in history have learned to master their time, their priorities, their focus on the key things that they have to accomplish in order to feel most accomplished, and not have that disrupted or disjointed or distracted by those who are seeking with another alternative. Your vision and your purpose needs to be true to you. Others have theirs, and so your time can't be spent on filling other people's lives with what they need to be doing and yet still feel most fulfilled in yourself. I stopped in to visit a friend whose husband passed away 3 years ago from a GBM, a glioblastoma. And as we reflected on the experiences of life that he'd been blessed with, she shared a thought from the charming movie Exotic Marigold Hotel. Now, there was an innocent play in this on a commonly used frame. And in the movie, some hotel guests were discussing whether to go on a particular adventure. And a young porter whimsically chimed in Not the line that we often hear, there's no time like the present. But instead it's antipodes, there's no present like the time. Now, this is a wonderful Freudian slip, and I'm sure it was intended by the screenwriters. But it's indeed most extremely accurate, because time is the most precious of all assets, of all rewards, and of all freedoms that humankind recognize. And often we hear others say to use your time well, yet it is from ourself that we must demand the highest result. For it is our time, our legacy, our growth, our future, our relationships that deserve our greatest accountability if we sincerely seek to manifest what is our divine potential. For you, that's your mission this week. To be true to yourself and to your time, to allocate the time, to recognize you have the time, to get the best value from the time that you have as you live and breathe. From here, live, love, and serve.